welcome back to the channel. This is Dylan at Chattanooga Fiberglass. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel for all the DIY tricks in fiberglass and gel coat. So today is going to be a little bit of a different video. We're actually not doing gel coat and fiberglass. So we got two jet skis in and they're going to be getting a detail. So they have a little bit of dock rash and just small scuffs and marks around, pretty much around both jet skis. So right here, I've got pretty much everything you're going to need for this. So you're going to need a high cut compound. This is not 3Ms. This is actually Presta Super Cut. It's my choice for a high cut compound, and it's not diminishing abrasive, but it does leave swirls and holograms. So you'll also want a good medium cut compound, something that's going to remove those swirl marks and holograms. And you can do that, since this is paint and not gel coat, you can do that on a polisher. This is no special polisher. This ain't no flex. I do have a flex, a forced rotation, but it won't be able to fit into the small areas. So this one's actually just a cheap one off Amazon. I think I paid probably $100 for it. So when you're using a wool pad, it's going to leave swirls and holograms. And my choice is I'm going to try to get majority of the area with my large rotary buffer, and then the smaller areas with this. And if I still can't cut out any kind of scratches from wet sanding, then that's what I'm going to use the DA polisher with a high cut compound. So in this case, the green foam pad is going to be the high cut. It's going to be your roughest pad, and that changes all along with different brands and different polishers. But for this one, what it came with is the hardest one, which is green. So that's what I'm going to use for high cut. The next thing you're going to need is some sandpaper. I've got Mirka 1000 and Mirka 1500. So you don't want to only dry sand. You actually want to get you a bottle, put some water in it, and probably half of an ounce or a quarter of an ounce of Dawn dish soap. That way it gives it just a little bit of resistance. That way when you're sanding, you can feel what you're sanding. I don't like to hand sand, but if you're doing this as a DIY, then you're definitely going to want to use a block. Unless you're familiar with wet sanding by hand and you do it every day, then you'll kind of know where you're putting those scratches at. But if you're not, if you're doing this as a DIY, maybe you don't want to pay a detailer $1,500 to detail two jet skis, then you want to save some money, then you watch this video and stay tuned. So in this case, I'm actually going to be taking off these registrations because there's tiny little pieces like this right here that if your polisher goes over, it can create scratches in this paint that could be deep enough to not get back out without wet sanding or risking into sanding too much of the clear coat off. So I'm going to work on taking these off. I'll probably do it off camera. This is going to be kind of a short video. More so, this video is going to be very informational for the DIY, or if you are simply even starting a business somewhere and this is maybe something you want to do for a living, as detailing boats and jet skis. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on getting these off. I'll do a little time-lapse part of it so you can kind of familiarize yourself with the process. There's several different ways, but I'm gonna try to do the quickest way. So yeah, just stay tuned. So when you're doing these registrations, I always try a heat gun first, because what that's gonna do is it's gonna heat this glue up and allow you to peel it off. So sometimes when that doesn't work, you have to use a rubber wheel on it. But the only downside to a rubber wheel is when you're going up and down and whatever with it, and you're burning it off pretty much, that glue heats up, and it becomes really, really hard to get off. And I'll also show you what to use to get the glue off later in this video. So as you can tell, in this case, this one's got like two of them stacked, which makes it a little harder to get off. So you might have to spend a little more time on it. But so also keep in mind, if you have a jet ski and you're going to be putting registrations on it, you don't have to buy the strongest vinyl that there is, like Oracal 957, I think it is, because you'll have to change them out eventually anyways. And when you have something like this done, it always costs extra because you'll have probably 30 minutes to an hour per side of whichever jet ski you're doing. So I'm probably gonna have 4 hours tied into taking registrations off of 2 jet skis. Now, like any paint shop, you run into these kind of things sometimes. So if you're peeling a decal off and you see the same color of the jet ski, that means that there's been some type of repair here. The only thing that you can do in this situation is obviously get maybe just a hair size bigger of a decal, put it back over. And if you're doing this job, you're gonna want to wet sand these edges where that new clear coat is. And I'll show you. As you can tell, I was peeling it off. It came with it. But that's how I know that there's been base and clear on it, because if you look, it's not dull at all. If it was dull, then only the clear coat would have came off. But if I had to guess, they probably were doing a repair and didn't let their base and clear cure all the way and just slapped on some decals. So this is also something you might run into if you start a detailing company for boats and jet skis. So this is probably the best stuff you can buy, in my opinion. This is what I use. It works very well. So you're gonna wanna just spray it on there, let it sit, and then spray another coat right on top of it. And you'll wanna use like a plastic spreader or something. Something that's not going to cut into the paint. I like to use just a regular plastic spreader, because it doesn't damage the paint at all. So we're actually going to take this warning sticker off too, and I don't even know why they put warning stickers on anything. If they stopped putting warning stickers on things, people would have a lot more common sense and just let nature take its course. But actually, the customer wants this off as well, so we're gonna take it off. Alrighty guys, so what I ended up doing, actually, I didn't have enough room to work in between them, and I didn't want that to have any different result in the finish. So I went ahead and put this one on a ski rack, took it off the trailer. So yeah, this one is already buffed and polished. I'll have to take it out and do the seats in the daytime when it's a little bit warmer outside, and clean the seats up, wash it with Dawn, strip any contaminants and greases off of the hull, and then I'll do a ceramic coating on it. And you can see this thing turned out pretty amazing, actually. I still got to wipe off some compound, but I went ahead and polished this up too. It had some water spots on it. They're kind of bad about doing that. And then for this one, I went ahead and just did a high cut compound on my big rotary on majority of it. The footwells didn't need it so much. So I went ahead and ran down the port side of the jet ski, and now I'm about to do the starboard side. And that is a high cut compound on there. And then I'll follow up with my polisher on a medium cut. So keep in mind guys, if you're using a rotary or even a polisher, you always want to go side to side, up and down while you're buffing and polishing. That way you get every single tiny square inch of the surface that you're buffing and polishing. That way you don't miss any spots. There's a lot of detailers that are just kind of all over the place. And pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread this compound out at 600 RPMs, and then I will start buffing at 1400. On paint, you shouldn't go anything above 1400 because it's so brittle and you can actually burn through. Now, if you are a detailer and you're saying, oh, you should never use a wool pad on there, well, you just haven't used it and accomplished it yet. And you also have to be careful. So yeah, you want to keep that pad pretty flat, but around corners, if you're barely just letting the wool pad kind of nick the radiuses, you'll be okay. And then back the RPMs down just a hair, don't apply a lot of pressure and you won't burn through. Coming from someone that does paint work on jet skis, you know, I can kind of tell what you can and can't do, so I know I'm probably gonna get comments on that. So it's really all about what you're comfortable with. A lot of guys will say, you know, only use foam pads, you shouldn't use anything else, but hey, if that's what works for you, then do that. I like to get down to the nitty gritty and cut out any kind of oxidation, any kind of scratches that could happen from when the customer is washing it. Maybe they get a tiny little piece of wood in the cloth and it scratches it. So literally just everything. That's why I like to use a rotary. And then I take out the swirl marks and the holograms with a polisher. Sometimes different jet skis, especially blacks, they will need like 3 stages of polishing to really get everything out because black shows everything.